All right, coming back at you again. Chicago Ralph from GMS, Virginia. First and foremost, I want to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Abishai, Bashem Kapradash. Second, I want to give double honors to the Apostle of GMS Wolufel. And peace, blessings, salutations to the hopefully elect, that house of you so-called Salaki, so-called Negro, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and this truth, this gospel. This ministry has been given to our people through Yahweh Shah, who the world has been called Jesus Christ. Now, I told brothers, and I saw the beloved elder, um, damn, Salaki, from South Carolina, Elder Menadizak Salaki, did a lesson to this. And let me see if I can find it. It's Salaki. Let me see if I can find it. Because we are one of the guys, the men that responded to that video was one of the men that used to be in our camp. He goes by Yaktan. Usually I don't even like talking about things like this, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Let me see. Let me see. All right, here we go. Boom. So, the Apostle went live indoor, and as you can see, what Ayawab Banashar goes by Yatan. I'm pretty much, I'm not gonna go too deep. I'm not gonna go fully into it, but bros that's in the camp, they can also attest to this as well. But basically, long story short, man, that guy had a lone wolf spirit. He pretty much always wanted to do his own thing. I don't want to try to say nothing that's just trying to remember everything. It's been so long. And I'm gonna go into growth because while we had the names of Yahweh and Rashah, we come to find out who we are amongst the maze, what you call it, the turmoil, this the hell, the condition. But overall, you're supposed to grow up in this thing and you're supposed to become better. One thing for certain, we've been pretty much able to be a fugitive. We have the spirit of a Edomite. A lot of our people do. In fact, that we don't have to self-reflect. Basically what I'm saying is, Jake is able to grow up and become children, grow up to still be children. And a lot of men, what they do, they don't really take the important. They don't really They don't eat the whole roll. They come in this thing for certain bad. I don't mean. Let me slow down. They come in this thing really not knowing what the hell they're getting into, and things start to come about. Yahushua said it parable about in his parables. How adversity. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Sirach 2. Let me get that real quick. I'm gonna go back into the about Yaktan. So Sirach 2. Let me see what it says in the GNT. So Sirach 2 and 1 in the GNT. My child, if you're going to serve the Lord, be prepared for times when you will be put to the test. Be sincere and determined. Keep calm when trouble comes. Stay with the Lord, and you will be prosperous at the end of your days. Accept whatever happens to you. Even if you suffer humiliation, be patient in the furnace of humiliation. Trust the Lord, and He will help you walk straight in His ways and put your hope in Him. So, all you that fear the Lord, wait for Him to show you His mercy. Do not turn away from Him, or you will fall. All you that fear the Lord, trust him, and you will be certainly be rewarded. Blessing and mercy and eternal happiness. One thing for certain, this truth does have its ups and downs, but also he will give you joy and he will give you eternal happiness. What I mean by that, that will me spirit bullshit, that shit going out the door. Because the fact that we in amongst this hell, the darkness, we understand people are lying and grow darkness, but we understand we're shining through that darkness. So that's eternal happiness in itself. And going back to Yaktan, it was many councils we done had with him, and we sat him down, and pretty much we try to rectify his problems, and see what we can do to try to pretty much see how we can rectify the situation. But more, he basically wanted to do his own thing. A lot of weird behavior, drinking problems. Put him on suspended. He just started going crazy, belligerent, acting weird as hell. You know, um, I remember this guy went on a rant for about 30 minutes after camp, after pretty much we were about to shut down, and pretty much talking about the body, the little toe, the big toe. Can't go against a little toe. I know what he was talking about, but as Bo can attest, we tried and did a lot of things for this brother. The brother just never wanted to grow. He just always had a woe me spirit. And, here it is. We will always be there for this brother to do, give the shirts off our back. Gave his brother many things. We helped him many ways to try to, you know, see how, what can we do. But then we'll come back later. Yo, man, I don't think I fit in, brother. Yeah, man, I just don't fit in, brother. I think I should do my own thing, brother. I think I should just do my own thing, man. Going back to that lone wolf, you want to do his own thing. So eventually, the process of all these things, of the councils, the helpings, and the sit downs with him, and basically overall, it just got to the point, man. This man just wanted to do. He's basically one of his walking papers. I guess he thought the grass was greener. I guess he wanted to. I don't know what he thought. But one thing for certain, I got some scriptures here. Let me see something real quick. Let me see something real quick. That's not it. Hold on. Bear with me, y'all. All right, here it is. It's like what Kevin Samuel said. We all grew up, were born of a family, which we had no choice of. Your mother's, your father, your parents, whatever. We all grew up. We're in a family household where we didn't have no choice of. But as and let me just get the scripture. So I wish I said it best. Matthew 24:46, and I'm gonna read the 50. So while yet he talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak to him. This is Yahweh Shah. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. And again, man, a lot of guys, you know, I don't know what, they come in this thing in different walks of life, and I don't know. And I can clearly say that guy there. I don't know. It's man, and here it is. The fact. Let me. Matter of fact, let me read it. Let me see what he says. So it says, Shalom Pastor Yahweh Shah Barakatham. I'm on the verge of homelessness. Now it's funny that he says that because that brother was in a good situation when he was in the camp. Bros had lived together. Not me, other brothers that's in the camp. They all lived in a household together. And again, there with him, a lot of weird behavior. He actually had one of the best deals in the house. He didn't have to pay too much. And again, just awkward, weird as hell, drinking, belligerent, just crazy as hell, no respect. And man, it just got to the point where it was like, yo, bro, what the hell is going on? And then, like the more we sat down and talked to him, the more he just got offended. And you can just tell he basically it just got to the point, oh man, I just want to do my own thing, brother. I just think I don't fit in, brother. I just don't fit in, brother. So, as time just progressed, basically, man, you can just see that he just wanted to do his own thing. So again, we just pretty much gave him his walking papers. But the fact that it's been, as he said, 2017, and he says you on the verge of homelessness. Well, bro, I don't know what the hell you've been doing. Now, I remember Elder Manat Dazak said he looked on his page and has a trail of work. But I remember the time when you didn't have a trail of work. You went on a hiatus. When you went out, when you did your own thing, you took a long ass hiatus. Then you came back up looking mad drunk, looking crazy. You gave me the spirit of what's your boy, the Mississippi Maniac, man. You know? And it's funny because the brother Ara from GMS Columbus, it's funny, it's all funny as hell because when he just came up here, he asked about him, like, yo, man, don't, that guy, I wouldn't, he wanted to reach out to you, but hey, I'm like, yo, man, nah, let that man be, it is what it is. Let that man work out his own salvation. And bam, voila, look at it, clearance. So it says, I was in GMS Virginia camp, but I got kicked out. I apologized, and brothers told me to keep pushing. So I did been, so I've been, so I did. I've been doing the work since 2017. They have not stopped. Well, that's a lie right there, completely. And if I do, and again, I've seen you years ago, and you saw me. I'm pretty sure, and you had the dumb look. And I remember the brother Abaya in the camp. He saw you as well, and he didn't really have too much good words to say. It says, if I do, and basically this comment here is basically is you just want a shoulder to lean on. You just want you're just a shoulder you want to lean on. You want pity, but overall, bros had your back. Bros was there for you. Bros would have gave you our last. That's one thing I don't fucking play about. If you're in this camp, if you're a brother, if I know you, man, I'll be damned. It's certain, and bros know me, they're gonna test for this. It's the reason, the certain thing, it's the reason why I do certain things, just so for instances like this, you know, for certain things that come up with bros, I move certain ways. I live a simple lifestyle, and I live a certain way just so I can be there, and I can, be able to provide or see what's going on, and basically be attentive and be there, you know. So this shit that you this right here, that's all on you, my man. You got no excuse, and here it is from 2017 to now. We all had our ups and downs, all those situations, but bros ain't hurting. Why you hurting? So basically, long story short, but the whole matter, and I even talked, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe I talked to one of the heads and the bishops, if I'm not mistaken, and Slack, I don't want to pretty much how you say uh put nothing out there, but This is where I really learned that the top the bishops etc. got great mercy because at that point, if I'm not mistaken, when I called and I spoke with the bishop, I really had in my mind like, yo, man, I want this man out, right? But hey, the bishop had mercy, So we dealt with you. I didn't put my mindset was to put your ass out, man. But hey, the bishop had mercy on you. But hey, time went by, time went by. You still was on that, yo, man. I want to do my own thing. I want to do my own thing. I don't think I fit in, brother. I don't think I fit in, brother. But overall, okay, it is what it is. That's pretty much all I'm gonna say about that. That man wanted to do his own thing. So boom. Let me get the scripture there right here. A lot of bros come in this thing and they don't really know what the hell they're getting into. And I have another thing I'm gonna pull up too. Ecclesiastes 4:9. 4:9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he have not another to help him up. And I don't know your upbringing. We strange, man. He was very strange, but this is what a lot of men don't realize. Here it is. We live in a world full of darkness. You know, a lot of men don't realize we all we have. The problems, stuff we go through. You can't talk to your mom about this. You can't call your father. You can't call your big cousin. You can't call your uncle. You can't call your auntie, a brother or sister, and talk nothing about this to them. And the fact that you got like-minded men of Wolfpack, and you don't know how to shake that bullshit off. That woe is me. That weirdness, and you don't look at yourself in the mirror. You don't try to change. You don't try to adapt. A lot of men take that in advantage. What's take advantage of that? They don't take advantage of Salaki. Again, well, that's pretty much it. So let me see this real quick. Let's see where I'm gonna go with this. What happens? Let's see what it says. Let me redo this one. Hold on. Bear with me real quick. It's not telling me what I want. Hold on. Things can happen. I can't. I'm trying to find, but oh well. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Salaki. Let's do this. Maybe I can come back to it. So, all right, going into spiritual growth, right? Because 2017 to now, you still haven't looked like you've grown or gotten better. So, First Peter 2:2, as newborn babe desire. Matter of fact, hold on real quick. I didn't have anything, no scripture lined up for this. I pretty much just turned the camera on. First Peter. So, all right. First Peter 2:1 in the GNT, the living stone in the holy nation. So rid yourselves then of all evil, no more lying or hypocrisy or jealousy or insulting language, pure spiritual milk. So when you come in this thing, you're supposed to know it's a certain thing that in character and way the Lord requires of you to be while in this truth. And even crossing the line, you should to know, when you're here to cleanse yourself and cleanse your way and get basically check that bullshit, the bad habits, the bad things that we have incorporated living in here in America. You're supposed to shake that shit off. Um, Pure spiritual milk, so that by drinking it you may grow up and be saved. So when you come in this thing, you're not supposed to grow up and stay the same or grow up to be a child. You're supposed to grow up to be a man. You start off as a baby and you grow up and you become a man. Now, here it is from 2000. Well, shit, even man, shit, the brother Ross said you was the one that taught him. So here it is. You knew of this truth for a long time. And now look at you, you know. So that and it's funny because we had talks like this with you, man. It says, as the scripture says, you have found out for yourselves how kind the Lord is. So it says, come to the Lord, the living stone, rejected by people as worthless, but chosen by Yahweh Shem Shai as valuable. Come as living stone. So you're supposed to become a living stone, a living creature. You're not supposed to become dead, become worse, You're supposed to become better. Living. Baruch the fourth chapter, man. Let me see something real quick. Bear with me one moment. So let me see something. Let me see. right. So what can happen to a person who wants to do his own thing against orders? And the Lord called us to be a body. Here it is, we're waking up to be Hebrew Israelites, and you sitting there telling me you don't know how to ordain, or conduct yourself, or work with a body or a group. Now, he used to say that a lot about the body and the pinky, but here it is, you didn't apply that scripture. So it says possible negative consequences, loss of trust. Superiors or peers may see the person as unreliable or insubordinate. Um, Social fallout, conflict, isolation, or damaged relationship, increased risk. Ignoring orders can lead to accidents, failure, or harm if the rules existed for safety or coordination. And it's a certain way you have to move in a certain order to things, how Yahweh Bashim Shai set it up. You know, all this, oh, you're just gonna do your own thing, etc., etc. Man, this shit don't work like that, man. A lot of, again, a lot of men don't realize the importance of this thing. So let me go back for verse 5, back to First Peter and 2. Come as living stones and let yourselves be used in building the spiritual temple, where you will serve as holy priests to offer spiritual and acceptable sacrifice to Yahweh through Hamashiach Yahushua. For the scripture says, I chose a valuable stone, which I am placing as a cornerstone in Zion, and whoever believes in him will never be disappointed. This stone is of great value for you that believe, but for those who do not believe, the stone which the builders rejected as worthless turned out to be the most important of all. And here it is, you don't through Yahweh Shah, we done got the oracles, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We know who the truth is for. We know who the Lord is going to restore, etc. And here it is, woe is me. Woe is me. Weird, etc. You know. So going out of this. So let me see something. I'm not gonna be too much longer on this. You know. This when you come in this thing, the Elder Gabar says this a lot. Elder Apostle Gabar. When you come in this thing, you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to grow up, become better. Not you get kicked out and for things, and in for life. I mean, you wanted to do your own thing. Now here it is, you're on your own, and now look, now look at you, man. You know. Let me see something. For 2 Timothy 3:16 and 17, all scriptures given by inspiration of Yahweh Shah and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Yahweh Shah may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. Scripture provides all necessary equipment for a mature spiritual life. Now we got to remember, you can tell a man by his fruit. Now he's been since 2017. He's been it's been men that came up in Richmond that came out and listened, and you have men that have came up in Norfolk, and you have a lot of you have a lot of people that know that they're Israelites. Now, why aren't you? Again, you can tell men by their fruits. Where's your fruit, man? If you ain't never stopped or such and such and blase blase, where's your fruit, man? Yeah, it's not looking too good. It's not looking too good. Let me see. So Colossians chapter 1 and 9. Hold on real quick. Oh yeah. So Colossians chapter 1 and 9. For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that ye might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Yahweh Shah. So you're not supposed to be stagnant. You're not supposed to, when you first come in this thing and you're still saying the same shit. And it also do with character, conduct, man. Conduct is very important. Character is very important. And I teach that a lot. Conduct and character. Man, hey, the scripture talks about let other men speak highly of you. So let me see this. Scripture talks about mortifying your member. Let me see. Proverbs 20:11. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his works be pure and whether it be right. So how much more a man in the truth, right? Conduct. Definition literally the act of leading, guidance, command. No, hold on. Just take that back. Hold on. Wrong one. In a general sense, personal behavior, course of action, deportment, applicable equally to a good or a bad course. Why the fuck? Hold on. What the hell is this? Not bad. Then I got one more and I'm ended. The conduct, the manner in which a person behaves, especially on a particular occasion or in a particular context. Let me see. Conduct, manage, control. I'm just going to this. So, a spiritual man is generally understood as someone whose life is guided by inner values and awareness and a connection to something greater than the self. We know we're connected to Yahweh and Rashah. So, going back to conduct. While different traditions describe this in their own way, the core characteristics tend to be very similar. This is in the chat GPT. Inner qualities, self-awareness, understands his thoughts, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. Man. And that's when understanding your weaknesses, what do? You try to do what? Get better at them. Inner peace remains calm and centered despite external circumstances. Humility recognizes he is always learning and does not see himself as superior. Integrity lives in alignment with his values, even when it is difficult. Discipline practices self control in speech, behavior, and desires. Relationship with others. Compassion shows genuine care and kindness toward all people. But scripture talks about know who to do good for. But overall, if you can, be peaceful with all men. Forgiveness, let go of resentment and chooses understanding over revenge. Respect, honor others regardless of status, beliefs, or background. Service minded, look for ways to help and uplift others. Mindset of perspective, purpose driven, lives with meaning beyond material success. And this is the characteristic of a spiritual man. Gratitude, appreciates life, even in hardship. Non attachment, values things without being controlled by them. Patient, trust timing and growth, but in himself and others. Spiritual practices, connection to the divine or higher truth through prayer, meditation, contemplation, or faith, reflection, regularly examines his life and choices, faithful trust, believes in guidance beyond pure logic or ego, daily life expression, consistency spiritually shows in daily actions, not just words, moral courage, stands for what is right, even when unpopular, balance and integrates spiritual life with work, family, and responsibilities. So, you know, and I know you. Well, I knew you, and this is something that you lacked. But you know, we sat down and spoke to you about these things. And again, you wanted out. You wanted to do your own thing. But since you've been on your own, I guess you should ought to know how that you were going to map and pretty much work your salvation out. So this should be your characteristic. This should be your traits, you know. And then you're on the comment board looking for an arm to cry on. You want somebody to cry you a river. But it is what it is. It's like the scripture says, work out thy own salvation in fear and trembling. But that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm gonna say shalom. Lord's way was edified.